Alright, hey Hawkers, let's go over Game 5, and unfortunately it was a loss to Seattle, of all people. Three things to note of this one. Seattle doesn't know how to broadcast onto the internet. The sound was echoing on the announcer most of the time. The slow-mo was really bad. The slow-mo guys must have been taking the footage that was actually broadcast and replaying it in slow-mo, so the announcer's voice was in slow-mo and they kept that unmuted. So very distracting because the announcer was actually having to talk over himself. It did stop by the third period, so kudos to them on that one, but hopefully they get that figured out. This was a high shot game for both sides, so the offense was definitely there. One more thing to note, I guess I haven't mentioned this in my past videos, we have 4 players in the USHL, and they are Jack O'Brien, James Stefan, Clay Hanus, and Cross Hannes. That makes it a little bit more difficult for us. I mean, we do have Jarvis back, which makes things easier. But this season might be just a little less powerful than we have before, which is kind of concerning. But hey, we're hanging in there. So just look for the young players to grow, and I think that's actually really beneficial this season for the Hawks. Alright, first period. After the first play, hits are already happening. Gotta love rival games. It was really nice to see Cicek activating offensively. He's jumping up into play, making some shots happen. 7 minutes in, there was a nice defensive hustle by Nolan to get back on the back check. Love to see that defense happening. And right off the bat, well, not really right off the bat, but like halfway through the first period, Portland gets a goal, and guess who it is? Seth Jarvis gets his goal, assisted by Newkirk and Thompson. Newkirk did a really nice job keeping the puck onside at the point. He chipped the puck to Thompson and gets it right back over to Newkirk, who has now skated towards the net. Newkirk then sees Seth Jarvis open on the other side, and done deal from there. Great play by the Hawks there. Seattle gets a penalty at 9:23. That was Siona for cross-checking. And on that power play, we got the T-Birds really starting to get tired. That's exactly how you want to be playing on the power play. If you can't score a goal, you want to make the other team tired, and that's what we did there. About 14 minutes in, Jarvis made a nice saucer pass to Giroux for a breakaway, and fortunately no goal, but it's great to see the offensive plays happening. At the very end of the first period, there was a scuffle, go figure, with it being Seattle, but unfortunately Portland takes a penalty with that, and Bromberg gets a unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. So have to start that on the second. Speaking of the second, we start it off really hot again, which is I'm liking that. So we should be able to call that our MO. Yeah, shorthanded chance right off the bat. Seattle gets another penalty, and this one's kind of funny. The penalty happens at 107, and it goes to the goaltender Barry for interference. I forget who it was, but Portland player ends up in the back of the net. Barry doesn't let him out. So the play's developing the other way. There's no way for Portland to get a decent defensive chance, so refs call a interference. So the refs had to talk about it a little bit, but still awarded the penalty. to Portland, or the power play to Portland. So, that was very interesting on that one. There's a lot of back and forth going on for a while, but then Seattle gets a goal at 10:54, and it was a guy in the box, number 47, Siona. He was assisted by 34 Roulette and 14 Korchinski. The puck was won off the boards, and is passed from behind the net to a charging Siona down the slot. He was completely forgotten. You could see a lot of the Portland defenders put their hands on their helmets, and they knew it was their fault for forgetting the guy. So hopefully they learn from that and continue on. But about a minute and a half, actually more like 30 seconds, more like 30 seconds, Knack gets a goal. So Knack gets it from Fromm-Delorme and Smythe. It was a rush play, fast skating, and Fromm-Delorme just chips it up to Knack, and he snaps the shot and goes 5-hole. That was pretty fun. But unfortunately, there's a lot of this back and forth. It was back and forth all game. There didn't seem to be a whole lot of defense happening until the end, but fortunately, Seattle gets the next goal at 19:07 as number 7, Gustafsson. He gets it from Bauer and Gottfried. So, with that, we'll go to the third. It's a great defensive play by both teams now, starting in the third. Lots of stick lifts and block shots and takeaways. I'm pretty sure both coaches were like, hey, we got to step up this defensive game here, and they both listened. About 10 minutes into the third, Jeri-Leon gets a breakaway, and that's kind of scary because he is one of their top scorers, but we get a stop. About 12 minutes in, we're finally able to actually set up in the offensive zone and pass around a little bit, try and make them a little bit tired. Right after that, both Seattle and Portland take coincidental holding penalties. It was Siona and Litke, so they both go off, and it's a 4-on-4 for 2 minutes. I wrote down that the defense is really stepping up for both teams here, but I kind of mentioned that earlier. But yeah, the noticeable difference, the defensive play in the third period compared to the first and the second. So Portland gets a penalty at 15:10, and that's Giroux for tripping. And then Cicic gets a penalty at 16:07 for boarding to cause a 5-on-3. Getting a little worried there with the boarding calls or the rough hits from Cicic. He's a bigger guy, so this small players, they're having to deal with him, but he's hitting people pretty hard into the boards, and coincidentally, he gets a penalty there. Last thing of note for this game, Seattle gets a penalty at 17:33. That's Rubinski for hooking. So takeaways from this game, we're starting the jive. It's taken Portland a little while to get going, I think. Compared to last game where our defense was up, we showed that a little bit here, but not quite to the level that we were showing last game. Yeah, unfortunately, it's a loss to Seattle. We hate it, but we play them tomorrow, so we'll see how that game goes. So with that, guys, thanks for watching. Really do appreciate the watching and the comments and the likes. Please hit that subscribe button that lets you know when I make new videos, and you can stay up to date with the Hawks. So just like to say thank you again, and we'll see you next time.